Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here, Nile Scala, with another exciting episode of POPXP. And tonight we have the amazing, talented Frank Amazing in the house in the Technodrome. Frank, how we doing tonight, my brother?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. We got the first show of the week kicking off. We've got three amazing independent creators, which is pretty cool. I mean, we've got two returning guests tonight, a new guest tonight. And I'm actually really excited to get to our new guest. Him and his team have some really cool content creator stuff going on and are looking to dabble in some crowdfunding stuff, hopefully in the future. But to kick everything off, I mean, we've got, Mike Murphy back in the house talking Deepwell, the caliber of death. We've had Mike on before. He's a great creator, has worked on many things. He's familiar with crowdfunding, so he's no stranger to that avenue. And we've got Wendy Shaner coming in at 10 o'clock tonight to talk about her new Kickstarter, which I believe launched today. Launched tonight. The Naughty Fairy Assassins. So issue 4. So that's going to be pretty exciting to have on. So without further ado, why don't we bring on the man at the beginning of the hour here, Mr. Mike Murphy. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Nile and Frank. It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming back on the show. So how has life been since the last time you were on? Well, actually, when you were on, we were crowdfunding comics. Now we're POPXP.
It's been a minute, man. It's been going good. We wrapped up the Gods Fear Me, keeping it in demand, I think 2 months ago now. And we should be going into fulfillment by sometime in September.
Awesome.
I've got a leftover, first printing leftover campaign active for Samurai and Dinosaurs. And there's just 17 copies left, I think. Things have been going good.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. Now, just for any new viewers that are going to watch this live or recorded, just give us kind of a brief, like your origin story, man. How did you get into comics and then get into crowdfunding comics?
You got it, man. So, I mean, comics has kind of been a lifelong passion for me. And hey, Apex. It's been a lifelong thing. I kind of, with a lot of things in life, I go through life with blinders on. I'm very stubborn and, dead set on what I'm going to do. Started a company in college, and that kind of led to, making some connections in Chicago, but the company ultimately fell through. But what came out of college was meeting my wife. And, back in 2005, we decided to move out to the West Coast and just start freelancing in the industry. And it took us about 10 years to get some traction, but we eventually made it stable enough. And now, as far as the crowdfunding goes, to be honest, it was all thanks to a bad meeting with IDW. And afterwards, I was back at home, and Selena and our son Clark were napping on the couch next to me while I was watching one of Ethan's early streams. And I just, I had that moment of what are you doing? You're trying to get into a party that doesn't want you in, right?
Yeah.
So here's these guys having fun doing what they want to do and building their own audiences. And we made the commitment, jumped into the deep end, and here we are.
Awesome. Now let me ask you, I think we touched a bit on this last time you were on the show, but you took your stories and you went to some of the bigger publishers out there. How do you even go about that? How do you get in front of them?
I mean, 10 years ago, when we were first getting started, it was it was still difficult, but it was slightly easier than it is now. It is what it is. You just kind of put together a list of who's actively taking submissions, and you make a lot of blind submissions knowing they're probably just going to end up trashed, but hopefully one or two of them get through. The closest we got to any type of mainstream, success or foothold was Samurai and Dinosaurs was originally supposed to be picked up by Archaea, the company that does what's it called? The book with the mice, Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard, yes.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that kind of coincided with them doing the merger with Boom, so we were one of the casualties of that.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that's
yeah,
not fun.
Yeah. So I mean, you put together the list, you do what you can, you go to shows, you shake hands, you meet people, you try to make a lasting impression, and like we did some lettering work, we did some flattering work, but the truth is, like, over the years, most of our income started to come from outside comics, working for foreign game publishers and stuff like that. And it was that thing of like, we're getting further away from what we actively want to be doing, so what are we doing here?
Yeah. Now, did you guys ever try to get your books published through Image Comics?
Yeah, we did. Like before Image was based out here, Shadowline, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Valentino. Valentino's imprint was and is based out here. And there were some talks with a few different projects, but ultimately, like, nothing really came of it.
Okay. All right. And then you got into crowdfunding, and now is this your 5th campaign with Deepwell?
Yeah, technically it's 5th, but with Samurai, the first Samurai campaign didn't go through, so we had to relaunch it. So I guess they still count that failed one as one.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's get into your campaign right now. So you got Deepwell, The Caliber of Death. It's a family drama with guns. What a great beginning statement there. So tell us a bit about this. You've got such a library of different stories and types of books. Tell us about Deepwell and how this came to be.
You got it, man. As far as like the genres, I'm just the type of person that likes everything. So we're trying with this career we're building ourselves to touch on everything, right? So with Deepwell, the elevator pitch is what happens the day the Lone Ranger rode into Deadwood. The longer pitch is it's the story of the Block family who rule Deepwell behind the scenes with an iron grip. They're evil, corrupt, and everyone lives in fear of their power and authority. One day, a masked vigilante, the Gray Devil, rides into town, and it's like adding fire to kerosene. He's dead set on taking down the blocks one by one, and nothing's going to get in his way until the job is done. Deepwell is one part grim family drama on a Shakespearean level, one part superhero / vigilante action story, and one part hyperviolent Western thriller. It's drawn by Rafael Dantas with full colors by me. The base perk comes in at $15, and like I say, with all of our campaigns, we'd love to have everyone watching come along for the ride. If you're a fan of Deadwood, Tombstone, The Wild Bunch, Unforgiven, or Tarantino's Westerns, this is the book for you.
Oh, this is incredible. So you did all the coloring on this.
Yeah, so with God's Fear Me, we wanted to have like the pages drip neon, and I kind of wanted the opposite with Deepwell here. I wanted it to feel very pulpy and golden agey.
Yeah, I dig the colors, man. This is great.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I came up with this process where the backgrounds have a sepia tone, color halftone over them, and then the foregrounds are just flat full color. So it really makes stuff in the foreground pop against the background, and it gives it that golden age feel.
Yeah.
Now,
oh, go ahead, Frank.
Sure. I was going to ask, not to spoil anything, does Deepwell live in the same universe as your other creations?
It doesn't live in the same universe as some of our other creations, but depending on how things go, it may live in the same universe as some other crowdfunding / CG books.
Oh, that's cool. That's neat.
Yeah.
But you can't tell us, huh?
Right.
You can't tell us which books. Not
We'll
yet.
see.
All right. So you've got 9 days left to go. You're 46% funded. Did you start this off just at a 30-day?
Yeah, so we can extend if we have to, but again, just like with the Gods Fear Me, the sooner we hit funding, the sooner I can get Raphael to work, and the extension, if we do, might throw off some scheduling stuff, but we'll still make it work.
All right, very cool, man. And how'd you guys come up with these character designs? Because I do see that pop culture style. It almost has like an animated. It's like the mix of that animated style. What came up with who came up with the design? Let me put it that way.
Yeah, so when I approached Raphael, he was immediately into the whole project, and what I said to him is, I wanted the Gray Devil to kind of feel like an amalgamation of every vigilante character we've seen through Westerns to the pulps to modern comics. So, there's a bit of the Lone Ranger in there. There's a bit of Hooded Justice. There's a bit of the Shadow. There's a bit of Batman. There's a little Punisher in there. I can't remember who it was, but a few days ago, someone caught the purple gloves as the Batman homage. So yeah, like I gave all of that to Raphael, and he took it, he ran with it, and I couldn't be happier with what he came up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that the purple gloves right here.
Yeah, there they are. And yeah, like there's certain specific things to the costume that are plot heavy that we go into in the prequel and are kind of centered to what happens in book 2. Like we explain where the noose comes from. We explain where the red revolvers come from.
Oh, very cool. Now I see. So this is so I'm looking at some of the levels you have here.
Sure.
And how many? This is I apologize. This is a prequel, a book. Oh, the book, and you get the prequel.
Yeah. So the prequel is called The Gray Devil and the Cemetery of Forgotten Deeds, and basically in the main book, by the end of it, you'll know who the Gray Devil is, and so the prequel covers all the stuff leading up to that and really fills you in more on why the Gray Devil is doing what he's doing. So yeah, like it catches you up, but at the same time, it's not vital if you just want to read the base story.
Now, the prequel book, what is the size of that book?
So the prequel book is going to be like standard mini comic / ashcan size. It's going to be 5.5 by 8.5.
Okay.
And it's going to be it's not a comic. It's going to be patterned after a dime store novel. So like if you go way back, even before the pulps, like from like the late 1800s all the way up to like 1910, 1920, like kids could go to drugstores and pick up for a dime these little novels that were self-contained adventures, and that's really where characters like the Lone Ranger thrived at first. And so we wanted to pattern it after that. So it's going to be mostly prose with spot illustrations, and the spot illustrations are going to be done by Fernando Garan, who's another illustrator that I met up with. And the truth is, he was originally supposed to draw the main book, but there were some scheduling issues, but he had enough time that he was like, I can commit to doing the spot illustrations for the prequel.
Oh, cool. That's some great. Now, as you start getting some of this, these pages and any of the prequel stuff done, are you going to show it off on any of the project updates?
Oh yeah, of course. Just like with Gods Fear Me, we'll probably show content up to about page 10 or 12. And then any updates past that will just specific panels from pages so that we're not giving away anything too plot heavy,
Nice. So let me ask you, kind of like out of all the stories you've done thus far and have crowdfunded, is this, let me ask you, which one's your favorite? Do you have a favorite of the books so far?
Yeah, I mean, I love Samurai because it was our first major book, both before CG and after CG and the crowdfunding and all that. And I really dig what Kristen and I are building with Gods Fear Me, but there's stuff with Deepwell that's kind of been sitting in my head for like close to a decade. And like even stuff like, you know, on page 1 or page 2 where the weather vane like is thrown through the window through the bodyguard, like I've had images like that in my head for like close to 10 years now. So
yeah,
like this is the book that like I've really been looking forward to, and I think it's easily the most complicated thing I've ever written. You know, we're jumping around time periods, and each book is sectioned off into chapters. You know, it's got that very Tarantino, Christopher Nolan, like broken time, broken sequential storytelling thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can see. I mean, and you even have a really good style to the book, and that's why I kind of asked if there was almost like a book that all your books are great. Don't get me wrong, but I see something with this book that just looks like maybe a little extra was in it. You know, like the stylization, the way you colored it, the way you added in certain patterns. You know, as you're talking like the pop. Man. Look, I mean, there's definitely some real cool details in the design of this, and even the layout of everything looks great. And the way the colors pop. I mean, you know, even with your with the lighting effects, the highlights, the low lights, the patterns. I mean, it's freaking awesome, dude. I love this.
Thank you. Yeah, what's crazy is, you know, when I first started building the book over the years, in my head, I always saw it as very Western. And when I say Western, I mean like American, you know, like Tombstone, like, you know, Deadwood, stuff like that. But Raphael came along, and because he's based overseas, like the second he started like creating these characters and realizing the world, it immediately became a spaghetti Western, and it just made me fall in love with it even more. You know, like I love what he brings to the book.
Yeah, I love that spaghetti Western.
Yeah.
You gotta show the clip.
Yeah, let's get to the video.
Yeah.
Sure. The first few seconds are kind of quiet. It's just like wind noises. So if you don't hear anything, it's not anything wrong with the signal.
All right, perfect.
Deepwell began as a shining star. 8 square miles of paradise filled with settlers from all over America. However, an infection soon set in. The Block family. You have to look past their smiles to see the evil buried deep inside. Rot. It spreads from their touch. It drains the soul of the land and robs people of hope. It's up to the devil himself. Now watch him work. Deepwell is 32 pages of full-color Western action and adventure, drenched in blood and violence. The Grey Devil is hunting down each and every member of the Block family, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. It's going to be epic. Back us today, and thanks so much for your support.
His face was just shot off. The guy's face is like, you know, I see it through the panels on the pages. I'm scrolling through that, you know, guys getting shot in the head, but then you see the close up and it's like, oh wow, he shot his face off.
Yeah. So
you sick man. You're a sick man, Mike Murphy.
No. Like Raphael cracks me up, man, because, you know, in the script I wrote like ... and then he gets his face shot off. And what I thought was Raphael was going to literally come back to me with just like, you know, like a burst of blood, and that would be it. But when I got that page in from him, I'm like, oh, you took it there, man. Like, okay. Like,
He took it literal.
Like that's some Garth
literally.
Ennis level stuff. Yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah,
But
it's
it
very,
looks awesome though.
Yeah.
It's funny because this is like twice in a row now where like an artist has come back to me with something way more extreme than I pictured in my head. Like in God's Fear Me, when Kedzie first comes out of the like spawning tank.
Yeah.
I wrote it to be like very tasteful and we don't see anything, because she's naked. And Kristen was just like, F that, and like just rendered her like fully naked. I'm like, all right, man. Like, let's do that.
Yeah, just roll with it.
Yeah.
Be a people pleaser right there. Now you do all the lettering in your books, correct?
I did for Samurai, I did for the Gods Fear Me, but right now it's looking like Adam AF is actually going to be lettering Deepwell.
Okay, because I was going to ask, like with your fonts and stuff, as someone who does letter and things, you guys have some really cool fonts in here. Now, do you look at your letterers to actually creating these fonts, or do you outsource the fonts that you need to put into your books?
I'm assuming Adam has a list of fonts at his disposal, just like we do. I gave him very loose directions. I told him that I wanted the captions to feel like old parchment that had been written on, but still readable,
Yeah, like these right here.
Yeah. And everything else, like I trusted him to just run with. He did a couple samples for me, like back before these 2 pages were even done, and I felt that he got it, so I hired him. And presuming that we had funding, part of the budget is going to go to him finishing the rest of the book.
Oh, very cool, man. Yeah, I really like. Excuse me, I really like all the styles of this. You really are capturing the Old West. I mean, how do you coordinate this? Because you've got Samurais, you've got the Gods book, you've got this book. I mean, really, how do you like compartmentalize everything to keep these stories going without maybe losing focus on one another?
Sure. Well, I mean, what helps is having various artists. I mean, if it was just me like doing each project, I am a believer in like if you're a sole creator working on a project, you should probably finish one before moving on to the next. But being just a writer, the reality is like there's going to be a bit of overlap with some of these projects. Just because when I find an artist, they're usually like hungry and ready for it. So we got to go. So having various teams helps, and trusting them to like get meet their own deadlines, which so far hasn't been an issue. But yeah, as far as like the writing goes, I'm pretty much just focusing on one project at a time. So in that sense, there is no overlap. Like, I focused on the Gods Fear Me until it was ready to hand off to Kristen, and I focused on Deepwell until it was ready for Raphael.
Awesome. So what's in the future for you, man? What's next after Deepwell? Anything you can talk about?
Yeah. Well, assuming everything goes okay with fulfillment on Gods Fear Me, we'll probably do a leftovers campaign just like we did for Samurai, and I have to imagine that'll be like late October. And we're deciding. Again, a lot is up to Kristen's schedule. We're deciding if we're going to launch Gods Fear Me 2 November-ish or wait till February. And if we wait till February on that kind of gives us a window for maybe a quick, smaller project. But I'm not sure right now what that would be. I've got a list of 10 projects that I want to focus on over like the next 5 to 6 years. But right now we're at the point of like, we have to find the right artist per project. So if I find the right artist for one of those before November rolls around, maybe we'll make a go of it. But if not, it might just be Gods Fear Me in February.
Now you are primarily, you're big into the Comicsgate community and all of that stuff. I mean, are you looking at other creators within CG to also work on some of these future books?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like the truth is, those guys are really, really busy. with our swag bag perk, I lucked into Vinny Tartamella and John Malin being free to do 2 pinups for us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was just kind of a case of like crazy timing, like 1 in a million type things, where both of those dudes were free at the same time. Yeah, like I'd kill to work with some of those guys, and there are certainly like up and coming artists in CG that I've reached out to and I'm following. But again, like it's kind of that thing where the second, like, you know, like someone drops some hot fire in terms of like art, like someone naps them up right away.
Yeah. Be quick to the draw then.
yeah, for sure.
And then my last question for you really is, why should people back this book?
They should back it because I've heard a lot that Westerns are a tough sell, particularly in comics. I don't believe in tough sells when it comes to genres. I believe in the right book or movie or show or whatever being the thing that hooks you in and just gets you. You know, if Westerns were impossible, the first season of Westworld wouldn't have been a hit. You know, Red Dead 2 wouldn't have been one of the biggest games of this console generation. I think in CG, in indie comics in general, Deepwell is the Western book that people have been looking for. And I know if they take a chance on it, they're not going to be disappointed.
And how have you been marketing your book?
Streams, man. Streams, Twitter, like, yeah, just hustling hard every day.
Yeah. And how important is it for independent creators out there to really work the social media end of it?
Oh, it's vital. You know, like I've heard stories of people gaining fans simply by, you know, having conversations on Facebook. You know, you hear all the time, like, you know, from some of the bigger creators, like, you know, people who write into Ethan and say, I never read a comic book before, but I enjoy your videos, so I backed you. It's vital. And, you know, I'm not saying it's impossible if you don't focus on that stuff in addition to the comics, but it only helps, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's an endless process for an independent creator, you know, because you're marketing your stuff, you're editing your stuff, you're writing. It's a go. But we wish you the best of luck, Mike. Thanks for coming on the show. Everyone, if you can, please continue to help support Mike and his projects. His books are great. I mean, again, look at this art. He, you know, as he describes it, it is what he's delivering. You know, the inserts here that you can read in these bubbles. I mean, the script so far is great. The art's fantastic. You know, if it's something you just can't handle with your wallet this month, you know, just share. You know, share it on your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you have. Just continue to help support independent creators, and let's keep this train moving. And Mike, again, good luck with everything. Thanks for coming on. This looks great. I freaking love this, and I love Westerns. I can't wait to see some more previews as you start developing more pages and things and start posting stuff.
You got it, man. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. Have a great night, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Hey, you too. Take care.
What a great stuff, man. I love that. I love that pop culture style.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at all the villains on the bottom, the way that they're pop. Background is pop as well. You know, he's getting that little aspect.
And we kind of have a little connection with the pop, you know. I mean, we like the pop. We like the pop. That's all I'm saying. Man, I got a kink in my neck, but I like the pop, you know.
The other that he didn't talk about quickly, I just want to say, there is a pledge level where you can have a book sent to the troops.
Oh, very cool. We should have brought that up. Good point.
Yeah. So, and you know, the reason I ask about ash cans, I love ash cans. I think that's like my new little favorite, you know, for the time being. And it brings you back to like when they had.
I mean, the ash cans in the 90s were huge. I was actually in the vault over here, Frank Amazing. I found in my stack of the comics I grew up with a sleeve with just all old ash cans. Some stuff I don't even know if any of it went further than the ash can. I don't even know where I got them. They're probably just like, "Hey, kid, you want this?" And I'm like, "Oh, gee willikers, thanks." You know, and I took it.
I remember Wizard and Hero. you could get ash cans in the comic bag.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's always like an ash can and a wizard.
Yeah.
There's always
like,
something
oh,
weird in there.
You know, here's the new Batman, like, you know, one shot, or, you know, Max, or Gen 13.
Gen 13. Such a great,
yeah,
great books. All right. Well, guess what? Now it's time for our second guest of the night.
Yes.
Everyone, please welcome Jason Hunt with SciFi4Me TV. Jason, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. So just so you all know, Jason had reached out to us. He's got an amazing channel with some amazing content. And really, I mean, Jason, I've gone through your stuff. I've gone through your sites, your channels, all the stuff you do. I mean, we're content creators as well, but I mean, holy smokes, you guys put out a lot of content.
We do, yeah. Currently, we've got 9 shows that are in production on a regular basis over on our channel. And you know, in between all of those and all of our reporting on the convention schedule changes, that keeps us pretty busy.
Now, originally you were coming on the show because you were going to be doing a crowdfunding project, but that was currently on hold. So we thought it would still be great to have you on to talk about your channel and help, you know, support a fellow YouTuber out there, a fellow podcaster. And I mean, so let's get into a bit of what you have. What I like about your channel is right on the top is kind of like your guide. And what's great about this is you actually know that on Sunday, Monday, you know, Sunday you've got Pineapple, Monday you got H2O podcast, Tuesday you've got 2 shows, you know, your Wednesday, Thursday, 2 shows, Friday, Saturday. So everyone kind of knows what you have going on, and then they can go and explore those shows.
Right. And I just, while we were sitting here, I just updated that header with the new schedule. So Chilling with Pineapple is on hiatus for now, but all of the rest of those are still in production. So, and we've got plans for some new stuff. We've got a couple of ideas for some horror-centric, and we're trying to expand our comics coverage. So all of that. Plus, you know, when the Comic-Cons come back, we're hoping to get back out into some more live broadcasts from there, like we did. C2E2 was the last one that we managed to do before everything shut down.
Now, how many conventions are you guys hitting a year?
Last year we did how many events did we do last year? 5, 6. We did Star Wars Celebration. We did Planet Comic Con. We did TopCon.
We did Dallas. C2E2.
C2E2. And where?
TopCon.
TopCon. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, about half a dozen. I mean, we would like to do at least one a month. But, you know, a lot of that is, you know, travel and accommodations and those expenses, and getting the press passes, and, you know, making the arrangements that we can actually do the broadcasts from the event like we would like to do. It's an uphill battle with some of these people, with organizers, because up until the shutdown, nobody really had their heads wrapped around the idea of doing any kind of online streaming from these events. Now, of course, everybody's doing virtual cons, but we were doing it 4 years ago when Worldcon was here in Kansas City. We had contacted them. We said we want to broadcast from the floor of the event, and it took them. We had several conference calls to try to explain this, because they just couldn't get it in their heads what we were trying to do. And I kept saying, it's like a political convention or a sporting event where you have the anchors up in the booth and you have the reporters out on the floor. We were, you know, wall-to-wall coverage for the 5 days that Worldcon was here. And it wasn't until about the 3rd day when the light went off and everybody suddenly realized what we were actually doing. And we ended up doing 53 interviews that week at the event. So all of that is over on our channel. You can see that. But it was one of those things people were asking us, is this the new model? And I was thinking, well, sure, why not? Because there are a lot of people, and especially now when conventions open back up, there are a lot of people that are not going to go to a convention yet.
Correct. Yeah.
There's an opportunity here to provide that coverage for the people that normally would be there, but for whatever reason, whether they're, you know, they don't want to get into the crowds, or now the money has been allocated someplace else, we want to provide that service, and we want to do that in a way that nobody else is doing yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're talking about broadcasting from these shows, you're not just talking about recording an interview, you're talking about a live broadcast from a convention. So we've dabbled in that stuff as well in the past. How did you overcome the internet issues?
The biggest element of the whole thing is making sure that you've got a hard line connection to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That's a key component. If you've got really good Wi-Fi, you could probably get by with it. Most of the time we've been at these, I try to have my tower instead of a laptop. That seems to help as well, because it's beefier, it's got more memory, it's got more speed. But we do manage every now and again. When we were at TopCon in Topeka, we were off of a laptop on Wi-Fi, and it did pretty well. With your smaller events, I think you can get away with that. And then when we were at Star Wars Celebration, we were the only ones who managed to get a signal inside the event, and we were the only site that was broadcasting on Thursday because Star Wars didn't start till Friday. And we had everybody, we were just kind of wandering the floor, and we had people saying, "Oh, go back to that booth, go back to that booth." And we had so many people appreciating what we were doing and thanking us for taking them through so they could see what it was. And I think that one in particular, since there were so many booths that had credit card machines, there were Wi-Fi booster boxes everywhere. So I think that helped as well. But yeah, internet signal is the biggest thing for any of these things. As long as we have that, we're golden.
Now, are you guys on the ground doing these, or do you actually pay to get a booth, like, get your own table set up and have these creators and whoever you're interviewing come to your area?
Both. We've done it both ways. For Star Wars Celebration, we had press passes and we wandered the floor. We didn't have a fixed position. For sites like Smallville Con, World Con, Planet Comic Con, we've had booth space, and we kind of radiate out from there in terms of sending reporters to go cover panels, and they come back and say, well, here's what happened at the panel. Or we'll do interviews on the floor, but sometimes people will come to us as well, depending on what the schedule is.
Now, how much do you prep before the con?
As far as tech or
tech schedule, are you doing this like as soon as the schedule becomes live and you're saying this person's going to this person's going to that, we're going to have this person come to our booth during this time, or we're going to go to their booth?
It varies. A lot of it depends on which event it is and how much access we have. Once we get confirmation that we've got press passes, that makes it a lot easier in terms of figuring out what we're able to do in terms of the kind of coverage we get. But then once that's in place, then we go through the list of guests and we figure, okay, who do we want to talk to? Who do we want to interview? And then we'll start doing some preliminary research on that, as well as communicate with the event people and say, okay, how do we arrange events here? We'd like to talk to these people. The biggest hang up on that is talking to the celebrities, because all of that prearranged, they have all of their time already committed. So we concentrate a lot more on authors, comic book writers, illustrators, cosplayers, any of those people that are there. And then if we are able to get any of the celebrities, usually what we end up doing is go through their handlers and say, okay, if there's time, and we usually go maybe on a Sunday when it slows down and say, we just need 5 minutes or whatever. And depending on who it is and depending on which event it is, we'll hit or miss whether or not we're going to get any time with them.
So what problems have you seen though? Like with we'll move on, but this is a question I'm curious about, because with the conventions and going to it, I mean, what kind of conflicts when you're trying to produce your show are you having with, let's say, the convention staff?
We generally have not had any conflict with organizers. Handlers we haven't had any difficulties with handlers. Pretty much the most trouble, I guess you could say, is when the handler comes back and says no. But as far as the rest of it, nobody has really given us any grief over anything that we're doing. Nobody's gotten up in our face and said, you can't shoot this, you can't film here. And we try to be respectful because we've been doing this since 2009. So we're familiar, and many of us have volunteered for conventions, so we know how that process works in terms of if we're going to approach a celebrity, if we're going to be in line, we're going to do that. We try to moderate our invasiveness, as it were, and make sure that we're not taking up too much of the space where things need to happen. We try to be as much fly on the wall as possible and still get done what we need to get done.
Yeah. Now you have on your channel here, obviously you've got a team here, you've got other hosts, you've got other, like your page is a channel. It's not a show, it's a channel with multiple shows on it. Can you kind of give us a little introduction to who these faces are we see on these other shows?
Sure. The H2O podcast there, myself and Tim Harvey, we are, that is our longest running show. We're in our 7th year. And it is basically, he's our horror editor. And he and I generally will just have a general conversation every week for an hour about random topics. So, we've talked about DC splitting from Diamond. We've talked about Isaac Asimov. We've talked about the Pixar's 22 points of making a good story. It's various different things. A lot of it will be topical based on what's going on in the news. Mm-hmm. And that one also gets ported over as an audio podcast to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, that kind of thing. Salacious Crumbs is our Star Wars news program. McKenna Talley is the host, and that is, we're getting close to 100 episodes there. Mm-hmm. And it's just the latest, here's all the latest news, rumor, speculation, fan theory, here's what we're hearing. And then the companion show to that is the Ranker Pit, which is the discussion and opinion show that's on Friday night, which that'll be coming up this coming Friday at 8. And then Triple Bites is the equivalent is for our Star Wars news show. Meg Trask is the host there. And that's Star Trek and Orville news program. And then the discussion program that goes with it is Deep Space Mines. And those shows, the Star Wars and Star Trek, they alternate weeks. So they're both on Tuesday. Salacious Crumbs and Triple Bites are both on Tuesday, but they're alternating Tuesdays. At least.
Oh, very cool. Nice. And then you have Good Morning Multiverse.
That is our Saturday morning news roundup. It's about an hour to hour and a half, and it's basically here's all of the news for the week. And then we can also insert interview segments in there if we can't, if we're able to get those. Our most recent one, we talked to Shadow Stevens about his podcast called Mental Radio, which is a brand new thing. And we've talked to some of the Comics Gay guys. We talked to Dave Stewart about Feast or Famine. Mm-hmm. We just talked to Keith Gleason about Mighty Mascots. Mm-hmm. So we try to get that. We talked to Z Chun over at TKO. And we try to get an interview segment in there as much as we can. And then that's all of the science fiction headlines, all the horror headlines, everything that's been going on for that week is right there. So it's kind of our Good Morning America, but it's genre focused.
Yeah, I love that Good Morning Multiverse. What a great name. Yeah. Now, the teammates, the other cast members you have now, are these friends you've met throughout the years doing that and, got to know them and was like, oh, hey, I want to do a show. Hey, why don't you do it on our channel? Or are some of these family members?
The wife is very heavily involved. We call her Mrs. Boss. That would be Mindy. She's not a host, but she does help with Good Morning Multiverse, and she handles all of our event coverage. So all of the research for the schedule changes, any new events that go onto our master list, which is now getting close to 2,100. She's maintaining all of that as well as the calendar, and then she'll help me with all of the editorial on the back end. Mm-hmm. Tim and I have known each other for a number of years. We started working together in the film community here in Kansas City, and got to be friends and various different conversations after the networking meetings developed into, genre conversations. We said, we really ought to be recording these, and that's where that got started. So everybody has been, friends, mostly, colleagues. We've recruited a number of times throughout the years. It's a revolving door because it's an all volunteer staff. So however many people are available at the time. We've had reporters in New York. We've had reporters in Los Angeles, Dallas, Corpus Christi, Milwaukee, Krakow, Poland. We had a contributor from Poland for a while. So it just varies on who's available and they've got the time to put in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you seem to have a mix between live and recorded.
Yes.
What's your preference between the two? And does that change based upon the type of show?
It mainly is determined by the availability of the host involved. So for Good Morning Multiverse, we do that one live on Saturday mornings because I want to have the latest information. Here's all of the last minute additions, and we do that. And for Triple Bites and Salacious Crumbs, those right now are pre-recorded, but we're talking about the option of doing that live at some point in the future. A lot of it depends on work schedules because these people being volunteers, they've got day jobs. And so we have to work around that as well. For me, I'm self-employed as a media producer during the day, so I've got a little bit more flexibility. So we're able to do things live here because this is where the office is.
Mm-hmm. Now you're doing media producing during the day as your day job. Now you do that for local things, or you do that for clients throughout the country?
Not throughout the country. I do some travel with it, but it's mostly TV commercials, marketing videos, and that sort of thing. And so I've already had that experience coming into this, which lets us do a number of the programs, and we're not completely making it up as we go. I've got 30 years in media. Started out in radio in college, so I've been around the block once or twice.
So if you don't mind, I'd love to just kind of play a little bit of Good Morning Multiverse for the viewers out there to see what it's like. Now, did you design the logos and everything?
Yeah, I do pretty much all of the graphic design, the animations for the title sequences, countdowns, everything. So yeah, that's pretty much all me.
Just lower the volume a little bit so we can do a little commentary if we like.
Sure.
Well, according to our sign, we are, let's see here, this says 19. It needs to be updated. We are now 20 days without an incident. Good morning, Multiverse.
And your whole cast, they're local to your area?
Right now we have one reporter in Milwaukee. We have a couple of people in Dallas, but yeah, most everybody else is here in Kansas City.
Cool.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.
And this show is kind of an interesting mixed bag for me because not only am I hosting and writing, but I'm also engineering. So
yeah, I can see that.
I have three computer monitors here in front of me, plus the cameras, plus I have reporters calling in through Zoom. It's quite a show every week. So.
Now I could sympathize with you.
Yeah, I've got three monitors in front of me right now. Well, many in surfaces, iPads, lights, keyboards, microphones, cameras. So I feel you there because I host and engineer. Yeah, it gets larger and larger constantly. Yeah. I really like the breakdown of what you guys do. I mean, this is a heck of a production you guys put on. I mean, how long is it taking you to develop these shows?
Not very long. I did some time in TV news, so I've got a little bit of that in my background. So it was, in terms of processes and design. One of the things that I do as part of my day job, I do freelance work for ESPN, ABC Sports, and that sort of thing. So I'm able to kind of lift some ideas and see how people do things. But for the most part, a show like this, say we're doing the research, we're pulling news in from various different sites. So, Games Radar, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, Sci-Fi, and Bloody Disgusting, and all of those. So basically, we're aggregating all of the news items, very much like a regular news operation does. Pulling in from the AP or UPI or Reuters or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we just bring that in, and I'm putting all my notes together, and I'll read it on Saturday morning live.
Oh, very cool. And I'm just noticing the structure of your show. Now, we've used OBS in the past. I actually love OBS because it's just such an open, it's like a blank canvas that you can just program and do so many things. But we found doing the live shows that StreamYard just saved me a boatload of time, with very quick setup. What do you guys like using for your broadcasts?
We do a mix depending on the show and depending on how we're getting it out. Now, we just recently shut down our Twitch channel, but what we were doing is we were going from OBS to Restream and then using that to go to YouTube and Twitch. In terms of being able to use, in terms of StreamYard, we do use that one to broadcast for Ranker Pit. And I also use that occasionally to bring in reporters into OBS and then through OBS out to the broadcast. Yeah. So depending on the show, we do a mix of all of it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Now, did you have luck with? We were using Restream for a while, and I found it to be a little clunky. Like the quality was iffy.
I haven't had any issues with it. We've been having the only problem that I have with it is that on the free level, it does not broadcast to a Facebook page. It'll only go to a personal account. So we haven't been able to utilize Facebook Live as much as I would have liked.
Gotcha.
But now it's kind of a moot point because since we've shut down the Twitch channel, we're broadcasting primarily to YouTube, and that's pretty much it.
Now, well, I mean, you've got a great setup, man. This is fantastic.
Well, there's another video in the playlist there for Good Morning Multiverse where you can actually see a tour of the set. And you can see our setup in terms of OBS. I've got a big screen over here to my right that has the grid for all of the sources, so all of the graphics, all of the video sources, everything, and it can be a little overwhelming.
Well, that's why we're using StreamYard. I was like, guys, this is a lot of work. Actually, no, I think we're actually going to be doing some transitioning. I won't give a lot away of what we're doing, but we are going to change our format up a bit. We've been doing our whole rebranding process because we have so many friends in the industry. We were originally just called Crowdfunding Comics. And really that was, our page was the show, but now the show, which was a page, is now a show on the channel, which is now POPXP, because we've got friends that design pop figures and they're in the toy industries. We've got actor and actress friends. We've got producer, director friends, stuff like that. So we really wanted to just bring in a whole immersive world. Because like you said, I mean, we've been doing this before the con's canceled, which was kind of basically bringing a panel into your home. Right? Whether it's an independent creator, which was really our bread and butter, and what we like to do really is just the independent creators out there really trying to start is just to give them a platform to talk about their product, to talk about their books, whatever they're developing. But then, obviously we like to mix in some of our mainstream creator friends that, have been making the books that some of us, that introduced us to comics to begin with in other media. So, I mean,
and just to let you know, OBS does have a thing. There's a piece called Virtual Cam. It's a plugin that will allow you to take OBS and send it to StreamYard as a camera source. So
yes,
if that, I don't know if that's anything that you're.
Yeah, we've messed with that a little bit, but I think for a lot of our recorded stuff, we're definitely going back to OBS and doing all of our custom graphics and things and getting into that. And we're going to stick with StreamYard here for our live shows because it's a nice platform. It's easy to for a lot of our creators and guests as well. But I mean, you guys have a heck of a setup. I love it, man.
When all of the cameras cooperate, for the H2O podcast, we have, let's see, we've got 1, 2, we have 5 cameras for that setup if they all work.
Yeah.
It's just you know, we've got the wide 2 shot, we've got a big bump shot over the whole studio. Every of us has a close up. So as long as the gremlins stay away, everything kind of goes fairly well. I see, you know, Steph mentions the weather girl. We actually have the weather forecast in Good Morning Multiverse. This is something I have not seen anybody else do. But as part of our events coverage, one of the things that we have really leaned heavily into is over on our .com side, click on the conventions list tab at the top, we have a master list of all of the events that are going on worldwide. We're almost to 2,100 events everywhere in the world, and it's as current. It's the biggest list anywhere that we know of. And as part of that, then for Saturday, when there are events, we do the weather forecast for all of the cities hosting events that following weekend. So if you're planning to travel to those events, we have the weather forecast for you to see what's going to go on. So it's something that nobody else does as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, so here's your website for anyone, and this will all be in the description of the show. We'll make sure everything's updated after we finish our broadcast tonight. But everything he's talking about is here for you guys. Check out the website, explore it. Check out the YouTube channel, explore. There's some great content out there. Amazing stuff that you guys are really putting together. I mean, let me ask you, out of all your shows, do you have a favorite one? The one you look forward to the most every week?
It'd be hard to pick a favorite. That's like picking your favorite kid. Every show has things about it to recommend it. Everything, they're all good for different reasons. I like Good Morning Multiverse that we can do a news presentation that's as extensive and comprehensive as it is. I also like the fact that we've got the news articles and the stuff over on the .com. We can do book reviews there. We can do award news and such. H2O is always fun because we're talking about different topics every week. You never know really how that's going to go because we don't always agree on everything, which is, that's fine. And all of the rest of them, it just depends on what kind of information we're putting out, what kind of news is out there now. And that informs the discussion programs, which really could go anywhere too. So I like the spontaneity of it. I like the fact that we've got a variety of programs.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that we've got multiple hosts, and I'm not doing all 9 shows myself. So,
Yeah, I actually have to say, I'm scrolling through just showing some of the content you have on here, and I pass an article that I haven't even read yet. I haven't seen the CW picks up 4 shows. Save Swamp Thing, possibly?
That was back in May. When,
May 12th.
The CW has a habit of making early announcements on their network programming.
Yeah.
And they picked up the first season. It's a rebroadcast of the first season of Swamp Thing. And we haven't heard anything past that as far as whether or not they're going to do a season 2. I think some of it might depend on how season 1 plays on the CW before they make that decision. But since now Crisis on Infinite Earths has scrunched the Arrowverse and consolidated everything, it's more likely, although I don't know how likely, that we could get a second season of Swamp Thing at some point, maybe.
Now, who's managing your website? Because you have a lot of content on here.
I do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, it's a WordPress theme, and so everything kind of feeds in. So all of the video that you see there is a widget, and I just basically take the links, drop them in, and they load in whatever the latest one is from there.
Cool. So let me ask you, why, let me ask you the question I asked a lot of the indie creators is, for you, why should people subscribe to SciFi4Me TV on YouTube?
Because we don't gatekeep. My audience criteria is you got to be body temperature and breathing. I don't care how you vote. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care who you sleep with. None of that matters. We have our discussion about genre, science fiction, fantasy, horror. If you're a fan of that, and if you can, be civil and respectful to each other, then everything's fine. We don't gatekeep and sit there and say, well, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Yeah.
We're not sitting there saying ideological stuff comes first. It's here's our news, here's our opinions. You don't have to agree with us. We're not going to dox you. We're not going to harass you. We're not going to blockchain you. Any of that stuff. And I think that sets us apart from the other sites like the Very Sue or IO9 or any of those. We're trying to be, I don't want to say we're being the Fox News. We're being as objective as we can with our news side. We did a survey when we revamped everything going into 2019. We did a market survey, and there was one question that 85-90% of the people answered the same way, that there has to be a very clear delineation between news and opinion content. And so that's why the shows are separated the way they are. This is the news show. This is the opinion show. And so I think that, we've had some positive feedback from that. People appreciate the fact that we are making that separation, and we're not telling people that you have to think a certain way, believe a certain thing, take a certain pledge in order to be our audience.
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. Now I know because we're very open, right? We'll have Comicsgate creators on, we'll have non-Comicsgate creators on, we'll have mainstream guests, this and that. Sometimes we get flack for it, which is, I personally think is ridiculous because, if 60 Minutes wants to interview, someone that's not popular, you're not going to stop watching it for that reason. But anyways, let me, are you guys open to that? Like, look, we're going to report what we're going to report. We're going to talk about this or we're going to talk about that. Or do you find you try to stay clear of certain topics?
Recently, pretty much the only thing that we have avoided has been the Naughty Dog stuff, mainly because we don't concentrate on gaming that much because our gaming coverage has been hit and miss over the years. But we've covered the Vic Mignogna situation as it was developing, as it kicked out. I'm sure that we'll talk about the Comics Pledge. We've talked about new titles and new creative teams and whatnot. So we don't get into the mix as far as oh well, you're Comicsgate and you're not. You can't be on our show. Well, if it's newsworthy and if it's topical and if it's something that's timely, then odds are pretty good that we'll cover it. Having said that, we have limited resources and limited manpower, so we can only do so much. We do as much as we can with what we have.
No, that's a great answer. Now, one of our fellow POPXP teammates, Brian Blevins, who couldn't make it tonight, has a question for you. And he says, Jason, what is your favorite Star Wars? What Harry Potter house are you? And who is your favorite Doctor? Loaded.
Favorite Star Wars would probably be Empire Strikes Back, followed very closely behind by Star Wars. Not A New Hope, it's called Star Wars, because I saw it in 1977. Star Wars. Harry Potter house, I don't know that I have one because I'm not a huge fan. I know for certain generation that's the end-all be-all definition for people, but maybe Gryffindor. I don't even know what defines each house. For Golden Girls, I'd probably be House Sophia. I'm the angry grump. And as far as Doctor Who goes, my Doctor is the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker.
Very cool. There you have it, Mr. Dr. Blevins. You have the answer to your question. So, Jason, thank you for coming on tonight. It's so awesome to check out and talk to you about SciFi4Me TV. And for anyone out there, check it out. There's so much content on here. It's a well-organized show. You know, the information, you know, is legit. The interviews are really cool. Checking them out at conventions and how they do things are awesome. So if you can, check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe to it, please do us a favor and share it. Share it on your social media that you subscribed. Help them grow their channel. You know, us YouTubers, just like indie creators creating books and stuff, we got to help support each other as well. So please, if you're going to subscribe to it, please share it and see if you have any other possible fans that can partake in subscribing to this channel. So Jason, good luck with everything. Keep us in the loop if you have stuff going on. We'd love to talk to you again. And again, you know, once you're on the show, your family. So whatever you have, let us know. If you decide to go that crowdfunding route again for expansion, you know, we'll get you on to talk about that.
All right, I appreciate it. And we do have a newsletter too. So.
Oh, excellent. And how can anyone out there follow you guys? Where can they go?
Oh, social media, we are everywhere. We've got the icons there on the header. We are on YouTube, BitChute, Library, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. What else? Pinterest is all cosplay. So that's something that's kind of unique too. It's all of the boards are like costume tutorials, hair and makeup tutorials, photo galleries and such. We're on Gab, we're on Minds, we're on MeWe, pretty much anywhere on social media except we're not on Tumblr, we're not on TikTok. But you know, SciFi4Me will catch pretty much any of the social media channels and you can find us that way.
Don't do TikTok, it's very addicting.
No.
It's a scrolling addiction.
Yeah, TikTok, Snapchat, and Tumblr we're staying away from. So.
All right, Jason, have yourself a great night. Tell Mindy we said hi and the rest of your team. And we look forward to seeing some more of your guys' content.
All right, thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Thank you. There you go. Another great YouTube creator. I love having these other creators on the show. I mean, we had Chris on from Comics Tropes. We have Gem Mint Collectibles on. You know, now we've had Jason Hunt on with SciFi4Me TV. We've got a few more lined up. I mean, there's so much great creators out there. And I think when you're doing shows, you know, we're making comic books, we're doing things on Indiegogo and Kickstarters and also streaming shows that you got to remember to, you know, always help support your fellow creators when you can. And speaking of supporting a fellow creator, tonight we have the return of a wonderful guest. It was great having her on previously, and we're very welcome to have Wendy Shaner on.
Hi,
Wendy,
guys.
how are
Thanks
you?
for having me back.
Oh, thanks for coming on. You got another book out.
I do.
And I hope it's a bit naughty.
It is.
Excellent.
I hope there's fairies in it.
I hope there's fairies in it. So how have you been? It's been, you are our first guest of 2020.
Yes.
So it's been about 6 months since you've been on the show. So how has life treated you? What has gone on since the last time you were on the show?
Oh man, it was crazy. We had the launch in January for the virtual Comic-Con on Kickstarter. And that was before all the COVID stuff. And then as I'm sending out all of the rewards was when everything started shutting down. So people were getting like con stuff when they found out they couldn't go to an actual convention. So it was really, you know, I got a lot of really positive feedback because, you know, people were really having a hard time with, you know, no conventions and you can't get new books and, you know, you were stuck at home, and then in the mail came all these really awesome packages, which was fantastic. Hi, Lee. So there was that. And then I had been working on book 4, got book 4 done. We launched today. We funded in 4 minutes and have already unlocked like 12 stretch goals. I haven't even updated all the graphics yet. I'm so excited. It's just doing great.
I know. Look at that. Boom. You're
like
about
4 minutes.
Oh my gosh, you are about to hit $8,000.
Yeah, and we launched at 4 o'clock my time, so we have been the campaign's been live about 3 hours.
That's incredible. Imagine that.
I'm super excited.
Wendy working a job, and in 3 hours you almost earned $8,000. Why can't our day jobs be like that, right?
Right.
That's incredible, but you deserve it. You're a hard worker. You've got a great reputation in the comic industry, especially in your neck of the woods. I mean, there's so many great creators. You all work so well together, creating so many great things. It's great to see what you guys have been doing. And if you don't mind, with your online Comic-Con, for those that aren't familiar with what you did, can you kind of break down that Kickstarter you did?
Yeah, what we did with it was we set it up to get all the con swag without really having a convention, is how we initially started it. Thank you, Alton. So what we did is we had swag bags, we had the convention badge, we had lanyards, magnets, stickers, photographs, convention program. And then we had this swimsuit, like that was our convention book, was the swimsuit edition. And we did that in January. And I thought it was kind of fun to do that at that time instead of waiting till the summer when everybody has a swimsuit edition out. So I wanted to do it a little bit different. Oh, that's so sweet. So that's how we had it set up. And I did a few, this was before, now when I did this was before everybody was doing, StreamYard and all that. I had no clue how to do any of that stuff. So it was like Facebook live videos. I do Q&As and some shout outs. And I now, if I were able to do it, I would have it with a lot more of the StreamYard stuff and videos and live draws from people and things like that, where I could bring people together a little bit more. But at the time I did the convention, that wasn't even something that I knew or was really readily available. And I think because of COVID-19, it really changed the way a lot of things are done across the board. I mean, I was, doing my job from home, which I never thought I would be able to do. So it just kind of changed a lot. But I think it also brought the indie community together. Even though we weren't able to be, face to face, we were able to come together through the virtual situations.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some interesting times right now, because you've seen that spike in these online shows, the online conventions. I've actually edited and produced a few for San Diego Comic-Con. They're doing that route. But I think with what you've done so far, I think, I hope you do continue on and do your version of the online convention, especially with your tight-knit group of creators. I think if you all got together and did a nice, like a weekend, and produced that and stuff, because like with StreamYard and all these things, and you definitely know enough people that can produce, I think you could take your convention to the next level. And I feel like I'm having deja vu, because I think I was talking to you about this last time you were on the show of you doing, getting into it and figuring out how some of this stuff works, because it's such I want to say a handful, but it's more than that, of talent, that this pool of talent of just so many of creators within your area. And actually, you've even expanded out to it. I know Alton, I believe, is in New Jersey, if my memory serves me correct. I mean, you guys are really expanding your network.
Yeah.
And I think you guys, with your personalities, could pull off one hell of a online convention. Yeah,
we've been talking about what we want to do for January next year. I think that's going to be kind of our time for it. But I was talking with Tom Hutchinson and CB Zane, and we're putting together a ClickCon in September. So that's something that's we're really excited about, because we're taking, each one of us has our own spin-off type character from our own series, and we're doing a 20-page book each and then bringing it together into one book for the ClickCon show. So we're going to kind of take what I had done in January and take it to the next level. So be on the lookout for that, because we're going to be, invading the internets with all of that soon.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Keep us posted on that. We'll love to help promote it. We can advertise it on the show for you guys or whatever you need. We're definitely there to help support you with that.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, we're really excited. So I wanted to get through Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin Book 4 first, before we took on another convention type Kickstarter.
Nice. So let's get into this here. So let's start off. I'm going to play the video. Okay. We'll check out your campaign video. Fantastic. So many familiar artists in there. And even right here in our chat, maybe a little guy named Steph Wilson. Little Steph Wilson in the chat tonight. But yeah, this is great. So you now are over $8,000. You're actually over $8,100.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
It keeps climbing. Now, for those that haven't seen you the first time on our show or whatnot, explain to us what Naughty Fairies is all about, because you're now in issue 4. So if you can kind of bring us from issue 1 to now, let us know what this is about.
Okay, so Naughty Fairies Stripper Assassins is actually about a family of time-traveling fairies that have been honing their skills working undercover as strippers in a gentleman's club called the Naughty Fairies. And their ultimate goal is to take down a demon warlord who has murdered their family, wiped out the fairy kin over centuries. Well, as they're on their overall mission to do this, they take on these side contracts, and they're taking out people who are really just awful, awful people. You've got, people who are murderers. We deal with sex trafficking and, fairy trafficking, since they're not humans in this case, some domestic abuse and things like that. So the story is, although it sounds silly because of the title, it really deals with a lot of really deep social issues that are kind of taboo to talk about. I remember as a teenager, my mother would take us down to Hollywood because we're out in California, and we go shopping, and she would be freaking out when I was a teenager. Don't wander off, and I need to keep you in sight because people will come and kidnap you and stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like with you, and nobody's going to do this. I had no idea that human trafficking has been around for as long as it has, and how awful it is. And it's just now recently it's been something that's talked about. But this is a story I had written, way before that was even in the limelight in the news and the media and stuff. So that basically, that's what Naughty Fairies is. It's really about empowering those who are fighting the good fight and trying to do the right thing, while there's a revenge story happening at the same time.
Now, for those too that aren't familiar with your work, you are a digital artist.
Yes.
You are a 3-dimensional digital artist. So you're not a traditional pencils and stuff, and all the stuff that they see here. Let me go back up to the pages. like all this stuff here. I mean, this is your work. This is
yeah,
these are your
it's all
interiors.
3D, and I use Daz Studio and Photoshop and a couple other programs. But yeah, that's what
Now,
that's the
this is
medium I work
all
in.
you, right? This is all you. You put all this together, or do you have other people color for you, or it's just
No,
all-
I'm putting the book together. So I have a writer that works with me, Cal Lily, and she does that part, and then I do everything else. So I'm doing the book, I'm doing the lettering, I'm doing the whole thing, and then one of my artists, Christina Haggerty, she helps me with the editing, and we go through and try to refine it. But yeah, that's why my books aren't coming out as fast as I want, is I have to do all of that myself, and it just takes time.
Now, you are designing everything when you do this, like your backgrounds, everything you're making through 3D.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of them, there's like sets that are available, and then it's how you manipulate them within the environment and use them. So there are some things that are already in place, but like if you look at the ship, you know, the ship is like a preformed thing, but I go through and I add things to it, modify it to make it my own.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool though. It looks great.
Well, thank you.
Your books are awesome. Now you're in issue 4. So this is your. How many campaigns have you done now, Wendy?
This is, I believe, my 7th.
Your 7th campaign.
Yeah, because I did four for the series, and then there's an art book.
Yep.
There was the swimsuit edition with the Comic-Con, and then I also did a silver embossed print after book 1.
Now I have to ask you, when you're creating your characters, are you actually modeling them after someone, or are these just visions of a face or something that you develop in your head?
Yeah, no, this is just something that what I envision and how I would bring them to life. So it's kind of weird because people are like, oh, that kind of looks like you. I'm like, no, it's really not. It's just I happen to like this particular, figure or whatever, and so I look at it that way.
She wonders what Nile would look as a female. And
I guess I look pretty damn good as a female, huh? Keep on going.
Yeah.
It's the only bit of confidence I get.
Yeah. So each one of the characters, because there's because they're a family, it's 2 sisters and a brother that work together, and then they have their little dragon, little one, who's modeled after my my bearded dragon, because she's just awesome. So that's my Luna. So I try to incorporate in the story things that I enjoy, and I figure other people do too. But I can't exactly have a bearded dragon running around, so I picked a more traditional type dragon because I just love them.
Yeah, I love this cover right here. This is great.
Yeah, Alex Kotkin and Ivan Nunez did a fantastic job on that piece. That's my Frank Rosetta homage.
Yes, that's awesome.
I was going to say the Lorenzo cover.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
And especially in the video, I love how, you kind of like had the wings like kind of move a little bit. That was really awesome.
Yeah, I do all those animations for the videos too.
And Kara's back.
Job.
Yep, Kara.
And Steph Wilson's covers.
Steph and Carrie Ann. Fantastic. They did such a great job. We spent a lot of time developing this cover set, and because there's the 2 naughty, and then there's the 2 nice, and then we've also got the Asia cover, which is the here, I can show you this one. This was the Asia cover that we designed. So you've got that old album cover.
Oh, nice.
Here.
Wow.
And then this one happens to be a metal and a jewel cover.
Nice.
So you can see the jewels there. And so that's exciting because this is the first time that we've done metal covers and the first time that we've done the jeweled covers.
Now, are those green stickers glow in the dark?
I think they do. Yeah. I think that's a must. You must have glow in the dark pasties on all the models that are in the book.
The room's still going to be lit up with all those green stickers.
There's just like
Yes.
green stickers
Like-
everywhere.
I think the whole family just kind of stays away from this room because it just glows green under the door.
There's beaded like for you to walk through.
Right. Exactly.
Now, what made you decide to go the metal and jeweled route?
You know what? I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I didn't know how to go about it. And I got in touch with Shannon, and I'm going to end up butchering her last name, so I'm just going to call her the Jewel Princess because that's what she goes by on social media. She is the jeweler for the Lady Death covers. And her and I got to talking, and I reached out to her, and we met up actually in Arizona, and she sat down with me and showed me what she's doing, and we talked about which covers we wanted to jewel, and I fell in love with how beautiful they are. They're just so shiny, and it just makes the book a little bit more special, I think. Because they're all hand done, so it's just beautiful.
So how many of those are available?
You know what? I'm doing them as a made to order. So however many books get ordered, that's how many we're going to have, plus a couple comps for the artists because I want them to have those as well. But I'm keeping them as limited. They're not going to be like, hundreds of them made.
All right. Now you're over $8,200.
Wow.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys. Keep it coming.
Keep it going. So now you've done 7 Kickstarters. I mean, are you seeing a trend now as you keep launching these every few months that you're reaching your goals more quickly? You're getting, the dollar amounts are going up more, so you're able to give more back. Are you seeing that trend?
Oh yeah. I think honestly, I really believe that it's my team. The artists that I have working with me have been so phenomenal in terms of social media, promoting their work. I just really, I wanted to have a group of people that were as passionate about my project as I am. And everybody who's working on it, I think he's downstairs, Lee.
Now you're over 8,300. Excellent.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I wanted a team that was as dedicated to the project as I am, because I know how much time I'm spending on this, and I know how much time they're spending too. And, from CB Zane and Kara Nicole and Alfred Trujillo, Steph and Carrie have been fantastic. Christina Haggerty, Lorenzo Sperlonga, Alex Kotkin, everybody has just been phenomenal. You've got David Harrigan. And then I cannot thank everyone enough how supportive they've been. I come to them and, I'm like, hey, I want to see if you want to do a cover, and bless their hearts, they're like, anything you want. Ruben Rojas did a fantastic, I don't know if you guys caught which one that one was here. This was a totally beautiful piece he did.
Ooh.
It just turned out phenomenal. And so we've got something special later on in the campaign for this one specifically that I think people are really going to be digging.
Well, that looks great.
So,
I think Billy would appreciate that one.
Yeah.
That's definitely got his style.
And then, April Grady Reyna did the koi fairy, and this one, just because it is so unique. We originally came up with the design when I was working on the comic convention, and she did this. So I've had this since January and haven't been able to share it. But if you look at the foil,
oh, cool!
The water actually, it looks like the fish are moving in the water.
Yeah, and the water's moving. That's cool.
So it was kind of this cover that was like, oh, we need to do something a little bit more special so the pieces stand out a little more against everybody else's campaigns, because, I've got a good story and I've got a great group of artists, but how can I bring in new people that have no idea what it is? And when they see some of these covers, I'm hoping that it kind of sparks a little bit more of an interest, like, oh, I got to check that out. That's pretty cool. That's unique.
Yeah, and Wendy, can we see the Frazetta homage cover? You know, in print, if you don't mind. I love that cover.
Yeah.
I've got the naughty and the nice. And then
that just came out so great.
And then what's there, that's a little bit better lighting, I think. What's really cool about this piece is when I suggested it, he's like, oh, this is great. I love this idea. So it was really, really awesome that he was so willing to do it. He jumped on it, and I think I had the lines within a day. He was so excited to work on it.
So great. Love it.
But one of the cool things that I'm also offering for this campaign is all the mock-up books that I have that are blank inside.
Yeah.
I'm giving these away as part of our Naughty Fairy, our International Fairy Day launch. So backers who back today will get one of these, one of the many mock-up books free, and they can take these to cons later and get them remarked by artists.
That's incredible. That's a great idea.
Because it seems like we all of us end up getting these mock-up books. And so I had holofoils made up and some metals made up because I wanted to see which ones would work best with the foils. Because some look great as a metal and some were like, it didn't really enhance it. So are we going to really necessarily use that one? So we were able to kind of limit how it was going to go. And so I ended up with a ton of these, and I said, I'm just going to give these out for our International Fairy Day launch. So backers who backed for the first 24 hours of the campaign are going to get one of these for free.
That's great. I love that they're getting that blank book because, they can now get it, out of all the artists that are working on this stuff and they go to conventions or things, they can now get remarks in the book.
Yeah.
Of their favorite characters or anything regarding your whole universe of stories and whatnot. That's really cool.
I was
What's
excited
that
about
limited
this.
to though? How many lucky backers will get that?
Well, I have over the course of all the different books, because each book I had at least 2 covers made. Some of them I had 3 plus the 2 holofoils plus 2 metals.
Yeah.
So there are, I believe, 135 already made, but I haven't made all of them yet because I just got a cover. I have covers from Kara Nicole that need to be made up. I have covers from Sanju Nivaganje, who is he did original lines for me and he's coloring, so I'm super excited.
He's an amazing. Sorry to interrupt, but he's an amazing colorist. But I saw some of his original line work and stuff, and I mean, holy smokes!
Yeah,
that guy can draw.
He's like a secret little treasure jewel that he's. So I'm super excited because when I asked him, he was like so excited to get it done. So I have a bunch of covers that are still being made, so I'm going to have more than that original number made up of those mock-up books. But anybody who pledges the first day gets one.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. It's a nice little bonus. Secret gift, a bonus gift.
Yeah, and I love giving everything away. I can't help it. We had a pre-launch stretch goal that we met, and we met it early. So my pre-launch stretch goal was to have 100 pledge reminders before the launch, and we got up to, I think it was 170 something by this morning. So by the time we launched, we had a lot of pledge reminders. So everybody just going into the campaign before we even launched had already earned a stretch goal for backers.
Awesome. That's great. And then Heronberg asks, Wendy, have you ever brought your books to FairyCon in Baltimore? Next one is November 6th through the 8th, 2020.
I would love to. And that is the exact reason why I had started the virtual con via Kickstarter, is because I'm on the West Coast in California, and travel expenses are so high. And, to travel, the hotel, all of that, it's expensive. Plus your booth, hi Phil, plus your booth fees. So I haven't traveled outside of, I've gone to Vegas and we've done Arizona. So unless I can get in as a guest, I haven't been able to travel that far just because of the expense. But I would love to. So if you know somebody over at FairyCon in Baltimore, let them know that you want me there and see if you can get me.
Mm-hmm. And Steph Wilson likes Tostino's pizza rolls.
Of course he does. No, I have the best team. They're fantastic. I love them all
and
very
you are
much.
now over $8,500.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, so you're having great momentum on here. I mean, this is great, Wendy. We'll definitely keep pushing. I know Frank tries to post, one or two campaigns every day, maybe more throughout the day. So we'll continue sharing this for you.
Thank you so much.
As part of the POPXP family, we want to make sure we help support you in any way we can. So we'll continue to share this through our Twitter, our Facebook, our personal stuff as well, just to help it, continue spreading the word of this. And I have to say, keep cranking these out. I mean, it's so cool seeing the progression now that I know your work, and we had you previously on, researched you obviously before you came on our first time, and then seeing how all this is developing. And it's just cool when you see a creator that's really just rising. Your graph chart is going up and up and up, and you're really getting some A+ talent working on your stuff. And kudos to you. Kudos to all your hard work and your team, because this looks great.
They're, like I said, I cannot say enough about the Naughty Fairy family. They are phenomenal, and I would not be a success at all without them. Mm-hmm. We are a family.
Yeah, that's great. That's so cool. So again, Wendy, we'll share everything throughout. I definitely want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's cool to see that you basically got like another $400 just in the half hour that you've been on the show, and hopefully tomorrow we'll see it's well over 10.
That would be fantastic.
Good. I mean,
that would be great.
How many stretch goals do you have lined up for this? Are you going to just kind of go with the flow on it and just see how things pan out?
Right now I have 25 already kind of laid out.
Mm-hmm.
But I already have some that I've been kind of playing with depending on where we go. Because we are also doing like the cross promotion stuff.
Yeah.
So we're cross promoting with Scorpiana, which is live now. We're also cross promoting with Totally Rad Life of Violet with Jim Noble. So if you back Naughty Fairies and one of those projects, you get a freebie. Lily Demoness with Luis Torres is coming out at the end of the month, and we're cross promoting with them. Plus, Kara Nicole still has the Confessions of a Cosplay Diva over on Indiegogo. Mm-hmm. And although we don't have a physical goal, we are cross promoting and sharing each other's work.
Very cool. That's great. That's the power of networking and building those relationships. And, and that's why, a bunch of creators in your circle, you guys, just like I said, that graph chart, I mean, you guys just keep going up and up, but it's so cool. I like what you do. It's, it's beautiful women, great stories, awesome concept. How long is this series going to run?
You know what? I want to get to book 6 and then kind of evaluate where we're at, because, in terms of it being written, it's already been written to that point.
Yep.
And it's just how long it takes me to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
So after book 6, I'm going to look at it and say, okay, do I want to just go ahead and stop here and then start a whole new storyline of Naughty Fairies? Do I want to continue with the spinoff that we're developing with ClickCon? But 6 has been my goal from the onset. But I would love to do it as an ongoing, but I need to see where we're at in terms of interest and everything else. Because if I get to book 6 and the interest isn't there, then maybe I need to reevaluate. If the interest is still growing and the passion is still there, I'll keep writing or drawing and working with the writer and going forward.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Good to hear that. Frank, anything else for you tonight?
No, I love what you do. You should be proud of your team. They keep coming back. It's not just a one and done thing. So, you got a strong community, and you keep building on, your team. So, definitely.
I love my team. They are fantastic. I do. I've been really fortunate because David Harrigan has been on every single one of the cover of the books that we've done. Steph has now been on every single one of the books. Kara Nicole has been on every single one of the books. Alex Cocken has been on all 4 of the series. So, you know, I have they're phenomenal, and they're so supportive, and they're the ones that push me to do better and to grow. And I'm just thankful for all of them.
That's awesome. You hear that stuff? Someone appreciates you. It's true. Someone out there cares.
Oh, he knows.
Well, Wendy, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you.
We know that this is just going to blow out of the water, and you're going to hit some amazing goals with this, and we can't wait to see it. And when you ever have anything else coming out, other campaigns, other projects that you're working on, please feel free to shoot us an email, and we'll get you back on the show.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful evening.
Right. You too, Wendy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks.
Good luck
Bye.
with everything. Man, dude, that's crazy. Wow. She's just killing it. Look at that.
I know. First day. I mean, not even like
just the first couple hours.
Hours.
Is it? That's what's so cool about crowdfunding, though. And if you stick to your stuff, you get to know your customers, your creative team, and what you can build. I mean, if you follow Wendy, you can see. I'm telling you, it's like that line graph. You know, that line chart. You know, your graph and the spike. And as long as that spike keeps moving up and not down, which she's doing, it just keeps going up. I mean, you'll see the success that, you know, crowdfunding can do for you.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, we didn't really talk much about it. She took a chance in regards to that con, and, you know, that paid off. It showed with like her teams, everybody that kind of helped, you know, they were on board for it. And, you know, I think when you have a team like that of support that's constantly coming back and saying, hey, like, when are you doing the next? And like them pushing themselves to the next level, you know, I mean, like she said, you know, first time, you know, doing jewels, you know, metal, and, you know, people are going to pick those up and want it. You know, and the fact that she's got 25 stretch goals and she's already on 9. She's already given away 9 things.
That's incredible.
But she has plans for 25. So
yeah,
I mean,
hey, she'll get there. She might have to come up with 10 more. She'll have to be at 35. Who knows? But definitely such a wonderful creator. That's what's the great thing about doing the show, man, is these creators we get to meet and what they do, and, you know, they become friends, and we can have them back on and we can talk about things and how things have developed, and it's just absolutely incredible. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow night, I hope everyone sticks in. We've got something I'm looking forward to. Like, you cannot believe.
Oh my God.
When I got the message today, I was like,
Nile
is this really happening? Is this really happening? If it wasn't for, well, this man plus his you know, co-creator with him, I mean, I don't even know. Shoot, it was probably like some of the first things I ever drew back in when did I was 2 years old when I started drawing, I was told. And yeah, so it was one of the first things I probably drew. So tomorrow night, we have our returning guest who's become such a great friend. I love this guy, Paul Jenkins, but also his former employer, which is Kevin Eastman. So I am finally going to have Kevin Eastman on the show, and I can't wait for that. I'm so freaking pumped, dude.
I know.
I am so freaking pumped to have Kevin motherfucking Eastman on the show. I mean, dude, insane. I can't wait. I was like thinking, do I take the green screen down, put my old Ninja Turtle comforter that I still have from when I was like 4, and you know, all my toys lined up?
It's gonna be a show and tell.
I know.
Hey, Mr. Eastman, guess what I got? And he like pulls it out and shows
like, hey,
it.
can you autograph? Oh, I'm so stupid. You can't autograph it through the camera. I mean, come on.
You could just give me your address and I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, give me your phone number and everything. We'll do it. It's fine. But
I'll drive to your house.
Whoa, too far. No, but yeah, it's gonna be a great show. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. So Yes, Eric Eastman. That is amazing. So let's hope everything goes through. He'll be on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Join us live with our good friend Paul Jenkins and Kevin Eastman. We're going to be talking, about the careers, the startup of Turtles. Jenkins joined, the studio when it was 2 years old, I think. They just signed the deal for the cartoon when he started working for Kevin and Peter. And, I think it'll be really cool picking their brains, and also some of the other stuff Peter's done. I mean, that Kevin's done on his own, with Drawing Blood and all these other books that he's done that are really cool as well. So, make sure to tune into that tomorrow night. And I say, Frank, I think it's time to call it, buddy.
Yeah.
Great show, great creators, and keep an eye out. As we mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing some things. You're going to be a lot more recorded content that's going to be posted to the channel, so keep a lookout for notifications. We've got our own new shows coming up with some different hosts and things, and should be some good material for you guys throughout the week. Some short videos, long videos, and of course, we'll have 1 or 2 live shows with some great creators to participate in the chat. So everyone, have yourself a great night. Frank, amazing as always. This has been a blast. And we'll see you all tomorrow night.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.